The next one is about illumination. It's not about Illuminati, that's something different, but it has we're not going there today. But Jan is going to talk about illumination, right? And I always dreamt about the ability to bring and illuminate my physical world. And I think, Jan, please take the seat, just a comment. I do think what you see here is the beginning of a world that seamlessly combines physical and virtual, where your kids and grandkids will start kicking on that glass and say, Daddy, Daddy doesn't talk to me. What's happening? So every piece of physical thing will have knowledge injected in it. And that's where we're going. So it's going to be evident, and it'll be very frustrating for kids if they find an object that doesn't contain knowledge. Okay, take it away, Jan.
Okay, so I'm going to talk about EON Illuminate and how we can illuminate the world with using persistent tracking. But what I will try to explain a little bit what you saw in this video here, where we use persistent tracking. You saw the video, and you saw an avatar.
Jan, on the chin, sorry.
You saw a real person that pointing with her devices, and you saw the laser coming out from her. You can think, oh, that's just a simple CG effect, but I was standing there as a third-person participant, like the recording it. So we all three people join in a session, and the two of us that were at the same place. We use persistent tracking to lock this here. So I'll get back to exactly what happened in this video, but first I'll talk about, so what is persistent tracking? So Dan mentioned a little bit, you place it and it stays there. So this computer here, if you don't move it, it will be here tomorrow. It's pretty obvious, of course, but in a virtual object, if you run an AR, you place it, you turn off your phone, and it's gone. So, and that's why it's so important, because you can share knowledge and everything you can create for others to look at. So if you go back a few years, I'm sure some of you have tested HoloLens. That came out like 5 years ago. And I remember when I tested at the office, someone else had tried it and used it and turned it off, and I turned it on, and I walked around in the office and I saw a lot of different interesting stuff. That's like, wow, it's right there. It's locked into that place. This was 5 years ago, but it's a $4,000 device specialized in scanning the environment and locking the object. So why don't we have it yet on a mobile phone? The tricky thing is to get this to work on 20, 30, 40 different types of mobile phones without a special camera or LiDAR scanning device. And that's where we are right now. So now you can use it with a regular phone, and you can just place things there. So let's say I create an avatar that's walking around in this space and talking about this historic building. I can anchor this, and then when someone else comes here, they can experience this, and then they can see this avatar is looking at the same place where I actually put it. You can look at the maintenance repair operations in a factory. I can go around there, I can place, kind of glue different overlay experiences on top of different machines, so when you can come there. And then when you come to the last thing that you saw here in the video, which is very, very useful. Let's say you're standing in the same room and you want to look at objects from all different directions. You want to talk to each other, you want to look in your eyes, and you want to see what they're pointing at. For this to work, for the laser to come out so you see what they're pointing at, you need to place this object at the same place. And when you have persistent tracking, if we invite a lot of people in here, automatically this will just kind of snap into that place. So if you look at some of the features here, so cloud-based anchoring, that means that when I place an anchor, it stays there. It's in the cloud, and it will be there for a year. Either if you remove it earlier, of course. Geolocation, one example of that, let's say I want to, Dan, he talked about he needs to use to fix the brake pads on his car. And I know how to do that, so I created a little training session, and since I know where he lives, I just put it outside his garage, so when he wakes up and takes his car and drives out, and there it's a brake pad experience where you have an avatar that explains exactly how that works. So you can sit in one place and kind of place it, and that's using a GPS, a location for that. So different locations, same environment. Let's say I scan, which you can do with some phones or other devices, make it a 3D scan, and I think John will show this later. And then I anchor the scan to the real world. Then some people that couldn't come here, they can experience this, so we can log into the same world. They can walk around, and what I will see here is them. I will see a bunch of avatars are walking around in this place. We can have several people in this physical location, but they are in the remote location. So it's a lot of different type of, so persistent tracking, we talked about multiple anchors. So that is to be able to get a more precise price, you can have several of experiences, and in this room, you place one anchor. But if you want to have it in this whole building, you need to place these anchors. And you saw that in the video. To do an anchor, you actually have to go around a little bit with the phone, so the phone cannot train. So it do like a scan of this location, so that when someone comes there next time, they will see, kind of remembers exactly how it looks. So public or private, so it's up to us to decide who can make these lessons, who can share it, and it's just different user profiles to decide what you can do with it. Persistent metaverse, so you can basically place unlimited number of different types of experiences. You saw in Dan's video, you said a word, you said yes, jet engine, it downloaded that, and then you place it here and add some information to it, and then you can have multiple things here. Of course, there are like some limitations on what you can do on a mobile phone, so you can, that's kind of the limitation, depends on what kind of device you're going to use. Automatic proximity detection. So for example, you can have if you're walking around in Istanbul, and we just prepared it and put a lot of experiences that were locked into different historic places, and then maybe you're really interested in this and want to have like a guidance of an avatar that go around and show you. You see the GPS. Oh, I'm within like the proximity of an anchor, and then you can you go there, and then once you're there, then it automatically pops up. And also, of course, anchor filtering. So let's say you have a classroom. Maybe I'm a teacher. I'm going to prepare something for a first grader, and when they come in, they have a certain profile. They're in the first class, and then you have a seventh grader. Then other things shows up when it's filtered depending on what kind of user profile. So Dan.
No, thank you for that, Jan. I mean, it's maybe for some of you a little bit technical, but I like, again, just to translate some of this to layman terms, what I'm excited about. You know, I know how many people have tried augmented reality here? Raise a hand. Okay, so quite a few. One of the most frustrating things is that you are there looking at stuff and you see wonderful things popping up and everybody looks at you as you are crazy, right? They don't understand what you're doing. It's a little bit like when you see in the beginning where people had earphones, right? And they were talking with themselves at the airport. So the same thing with AI. AR is meant to be participatory. So let's say we meet today for coffee and I have something exciting to share with you. I'll ask you all to turn on the phones and we sit around the table and let's say I want to dissect a frog or explore a Colosseum in Rome. I just pop my phone and everybody's popping their phone and we all look at the same thing and can interact in a collaborative way. So I think the value of AR is unleashed when you do this. Another thing that you mentioned, which I think is very useful, is guided tours. So in Prague, because of persistent tracking, I put persistent tracking at Charles. How many have been in Prague? Anyone? Okay, quite a few. Okay. So I placed one at Charles Bridge, one in the old town, and one by the castle. And within this many. So I had a guide, and this guy speaks 80 languages, so it can be bonjour, konnichiwa, and then he said, would you like to take a whole tour? And then I just followed him, and he could answer. And in each location, there was an anchor point with persistent tracking, and I could see the castle 500 years ago and now superimposed. So cultural heritage, there's a bunch of funds available in the European Union. I know many universities of you are working on that. Great. And you also touched based on something important, maintenance, repair, operation. So I did this in Bali. So my kitchen sink was, I rented a house with Airbnb, and the kitchen sink didn't work. And then I had an issue with the stove. And then I talked with Jan, and he placed a repair operation on that location. So the possibilities with these technologies are endless. And we need you now to get your hands on these tools and amaze us. Okay, thank you, Jan, please. Let's see, thank you for that presentation.